The week before the big B&R announcement, a lot of changes are anticipated on Monday, June the 30th. I wanted to hop on and provide my ban predictions, and we're going to go over a couple of formats. I've actually been playing a lot of Magic diversely and I want to give my thoughts on not only Modern, but also Standard, maybe a little bit of Pioneer, Legacy, Pauper, all the whole gamut here. So we're going to stick through it. Today, I decided to open up this screen with a little inspect element changed ban announcement here, just to go over my initial thoughts, right? Timestamps down below. Generally speaking, off the rip here, Standard, I think we're going to see some red stuff go. Honestly, we are. Something red is going to get banned out of Standard on Monday. It should be multiple things, probably 2, maybe 3 things. Hopefully it's not Monstrous Rage, but Pioneer, honestly, I'm just getting into the format. I've been playing Lotus Breach, just learning it literally yesterday. Finally got all the wildcards for it on Arena, and I'm learning it there. Not a lot of opinions. When it comes to Modern, y'all know how I feel. I have a whole video dedicated to me ranting about Modern Energy and some of the most terrible siloed design I've ever seen of any mechanic. Screw that mechanic. Legacy, it seems like we've been trying to cut the head off of Reanimator for so long that it keeps growing back another one. And although that other head is slightly weaker, it's still a 50-headed Hydra, okay? So we're trying our best to manage the beast, and it might be time a staple of the format goes. Oops All Spells seems to be, the format's pretty community-driven, and it's pretty split. A lot of people are saying Oops is not the problem, that it's Reanimator. But we also need to make sure that if Reanimator is not around, Dimir Reanimator in Legacy is the premier blue deck. Anyway, I'll explain why that's all important. I don't want to go too far into it right now. A lot of people talk about in Vintage that we need a pre-ban Tezzeret. Or that maybe not even pre-ban it, but that it's just going to be really powerful, restricted within a year. Some of the comments I've been seeing. Honestly, Trinket Mage on a colorless 3-mana Planeswalker, they could be turn 1 relatively easy in Shops decks. I'm not surprised. Honestly, I see it. Pauper, honestly, pretty diverse right now. Timeless is a format that I feel like we should be paying more attention to, but maybe that's my personal bias as the only relevant fetch land format on the Arena client. I'm just saying, personal biases aside. I hope y'all enjoyed all the Easter eggs that I included in all my inspect elements here. Let's go to the actual B&R announcement that happened on March 31st, 2025, where we got Underworld Breach ban, Sowing Mycospawn Troll. We had the kind of Eldrazi decks and Reanimator taken down a notch. Huge changes in Pauper. A lot of success. I would say this was a good change. I don't know if they'll do this again, but a lot of success coming out of this ban. A lot of no changes all throughout. And really, where we want to take this is Modern, they're trying to keep a close eye on, and especially they want to work around like the RCQ seasons. And with the recent end of 2024 big December B&R announcement that I would say largely successful. Honestly, a lot of great positive things came out of that. We finally got the banning of Underworld Breach, which is a dumb Magic card, really powerful Magic card, honestly. We finally got it out of there, and we got some big changes in Legacy that didn't seem to have like long-lasting effects, although it did do something, right? We had the Oops All Spells decks and then the Eldrazi decks that are extremely powerful, holding back all of the blue decks. The blue decks were the only thing holding back the Oops All Spells decks, and it was just like a whole back and forth. Regardless, that was solved as well. I want to provide more context once we get into the individual formats, but showing where we were before, what I was hoping for. Let's hop right into Modern. Now, Modern, crazy place. Boros Energy starting at 365 days. It's almost 50% of the metagame of the last year. Dimir Murktide, rightfully so, up there as well. Psychic Frog, a really powerful threat alongside Abhorrent Oculus and the package itself. A lot of these decks that exist at the top, especially if you're thinking of like Eldrazi Ramp, Belcher, stuff like that, like they have really good matchups into Boros Energy. And so when it comes to combo decks like Belcher and Ruby Storm, you're going to see a lot more of their success shine with the Boros Energy at the top. So in many ways, this is like kind of like Legacy, where you see these decks that don't necessarily, like Eldrazi Ramp kind of beats this. Eldrazi is just a solid deck. When it comes to like Belcher and Ruby Storm, like combo decks being represented this high with the type of tools that they have access to isn't like, it's not really that surprising when it comes to Modern because Boros Energy lets the way through. They just don't have solid options versus it. They're a aggro mid-range kind of creature-based tempo strategy. A lot of powerful individual value out of every single card, but it's not like they have like lights out against combos. So that's where you're able to take advantage of that. Eldrazi just able to get over top of that. Like Eldrazi kind of just does the same thing Boros Energy does, but like honestly better, just with bigger holes. Like you're able to, because it's able to quote unquote do it better, there are more holes in it to exploit. So that's where Eldrazi Ram kind of falls short, and then Amulet Titan probably will just continue to dodge bans year after year after year, just being consistently one of the best decks in Modern. But hey, I'm here for it as long as Titan's playable. Modern Mill's got a matchup to take advantage of. Now, when it comes to the bans, let's be honest here, Guy Souls needs to go. We did not need to power creep Soul Sisters. Absolutely busted Magic card. In the package of energy. Let's be honest here. This card is not Psychic Frog. It's not Earl, Titan of Nature's Wrath. It's not Flage. No. Guide of Souls is broken in the energy package. Guide of Souls is not necessarily individually broken. It's a powerful effect. You know, you got the Soul Sisters effect. Like Burn is just largely unplayable because of threats like this and or Flage. Guide of Souls is there, but alongside the rest of the energy package, alongside your static prisons and your what used to be amped raptors of the world, like Guide of Souls is crazy in that package, allowing you to gain so much energy where your 1 mana red spell, you know, Unholy Heat used to be the status quo. 6 damage. Once you enable Delirium, you're able to kill the prime times. But when it comes to Guide of Souls, being able to then go even farther over top, destroy bigger creatures on top of that is really powerful alongside the energy package. Just being able to create so many creatures over and over again, and just get all the energy and life out of this just creates so much of a differential. And then on top of that, having the offensive ability of being able to turn your extra energy into better threats, getting over top, giving evasion, all that good stuff. It's just really powerful. Guide of Souls is going to be the key to break this. It makes the removal spells, the Static Prison and the Galvanic Blast, not Galvanic Blast, just whatever. The 1 mana red spell that like it essentially is like a Bolt variant, just doesn't hit you. Destroying those two or weakening those two is the key, because Static Prison at the end of the day is an egregious Magic card. It's 1 white, exiles any permanent on the battlefield, and then you're going to be able to deal with that permanent for 2 turns after, because you get 2 energy, and then at the beginning of your upkeep, or main phase, you pay that energy. If you pay 1 energy, otherwise Static Prison goes away. Any permanent, regardless of converted mana cost or anything, right? As long as you get past the, ward, hexproof, all that stuff. If you get past those, it gets rid of anything. It's insane. You play 7 mana Karn out of Old Tron, got immediately Static Prison, doesn't matter. I don't care if you play Static Prison immediately. Crazy. So if you can weaken those packages and weaken the removal that this tech can have access to, the rest of it kind of falls apart a lot more. So that's my thought process with this. Yes, Ajani is still there. Ajani is a crazy Magic card. I just don't think it can be, like, it should be broken, or not broken. It is broken. Not that it should be banned. It's fine individually. It's not necessarily part of the energy package. It does lead to some of the more broken starts in the deck. But the key is that when Ajani comes out, it's able to pair up with some of the other, parts of the deck and go crazy. But those insane situations really are locked out by the fact that Ocelot Pride and Guide of Souls is going. If Guide of Souls doesn't start on 1, Ajani on 2 isn't necessarily that powerful. Ajani on 2 honestly probably just wants a Ragavan on 1 anyway. Ragavan then Ajani on 2 is just some type of Boros mid-range, which is again a lot easier to deal with if they don't have the Static Prisons as powered up, as I should say, or the ability to remove large creatures with their Galvanics, right? Like with that 1 mana red removal spell, which will leave room for some of the other bigger creature decks to come in. Now, is that enough? To me, no. I would like to see Ocelot Pride again gone as well. We do not need the whole energy package to be turned on by turn 2. We don't need it. It's insane. You get an Ocelot Pride going on 1, right? You then, actually, you don't even need it going on 1. You go Guide of Souls, then you play Ocelot after. Ocelot then checks if you gain life that turn, which you did, by the way, because the Ocelot entered and triggered the Guide of Souls. You get a token, you play a static prison, you got energy to pay for it, you're off to the races. You've destroyed their permanent, you've got so many other permanents going, so much static text going, you don't know what to destroy first. This thing got freaking Ascend, right? This thing got lifelink, copying other tokens you're making. It's going crazy. It's going crazy. I think both of these need to go. That'll open up the space for other decks to kind of come into the metagame here. It'll kind of push back some of those other decks that have good matchups, you know, like the Eldrazi decks and the combo decks. It'll push those away to being decks that are trying to get there up at the top, because Modern is so heavily represented at the competitive high-end level by the Boros Energy deck. Now, I will give rise to the fact that there has been recent evolution in the, not evolution, but just like a little bit more gumption in the 5-color domain aggro deck. The domain zoo deck has been gaining in percentages, which is interesting, honestly. Like, that is a really cool like innovation or whatever. And we also have been seeing a lot more Primeval Titan decks as well. So maybe that's the meta adapting to itself. I'm not sure if it's necessarily adapting to energy. Energy is still at the top of the metagame. It is consistently at double-digit percentages and high in them, like, you know, 15, 20s. And the rest of the decks, generally speaking, are like low double digits, like 11, 10% barely, or just under in single digits. The representation of this deck is too high. It's too efficient. It's absolutely insane. Number of people posting 5-0s with this deck and chop finishes with this deck is crazy. It's too much. It's too much. We need to end this. We need to end this. Modern Horizons 3 typo does not need to continue. So much of this deck has its cards printed in Modern Horizons 3. If you bought enough of Modern Horizons 3, you could build a majority of this deck. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. When it comes to standard metagame, a format that I've been playing a lot more of recently, trying to do my best to, you know, get into other formats and spread myself out, get a good understanding for what's going on in all over Magic. I've been playing Azorius Omniscience, me personally, because I went into this standard over the last like month and a half, knowing that red is really powerful. So I don't want to get into the ban deck, but it doesn't necessarily mean that Azorius Omniscience is going to be good post. It just means that I might be able to kind of transfer a little bit of wild cards into maybe like a Azorius or blue-white X type of control strategy and kind of switch into there. So that's been my kind of take on it. But this metagame is largely, especially if you look at 90 days, you want to go to 90. A year is a little disingenuous because of when sets were printed. But 90, 30, you'll see Is It Prowess. Again, red is pretty much 50% of the metagame here. 14 days. Wow. Almost 40% of the metagame is just mono red. And at 7 days, literally even more and more. Azorius Omniscience actually takes a huge bounce here, especially if you take in like recent kind of competitive results. So that's really nice to see. The problem is Azorius Omniscience has a similar situation going on to it like Legacy does, where you have a top deck, right? And it kind of is a little bit in Modern. Modern has a little bit more diversity, which is why I'll give it a bit more credit. There is a lot more going on at the mid-level, at the league level, at the LGS level, and honestly at the low-level tournament level of Modern than many other formats right now. There's a lot of diversity when it comes to that in Modern. At the tippy top, there's a lot of energy. Honestly, Modern has a fair bit of diversity. When it comes to Standard, no. Top 8 of the last PT was just at Red decks. It was the best Is It Prowess players, 4 of the best Is It Prowess players versus 4 of the best mono red players. The finals, Is It versus mono red. Mono red ended up winning it out. Is crazy. It's absolutely insane. The amount of red in this format, it's gone way too efficient. Azorius Omniscience exists because it is a quote unquote instant win deck where the minute you get Omniscience out, you supposedly win the game. But even then the deck struggles because you do have some bad mulligans where you need to find the Omniscience. You need to draw it and then discard it. And then you need to find the reanimation spell that puts Omniscience into the battlefield for you. And then on top of that, you need to actually have spells and protection to save the Omniscience, because when the Omniscience gets reanimated, it gets reanimated as a creature in this format. Abuela's Reawakening reanimates it at worst as a 1/1 creature. So you need to have a protection spell for when you cast your first spell, because your opponent can just hold up removal and respond to the first spell you cast and your Omniscience is gone. Of course, if you get lucky and this first spell you cast is Omniscience, a second copy in your hand, great, you got lucky. And then maybe hopefully you have more spells to go from there. But if you mulligan even once, heck, even twice, this deck really doesn't function, in my opinion. It doesn't function well against the top of the metagame because yes, you can get out the Omniscience on turn 4, which is the earliest you're getting there, honestly. But what the? Why did it just go to, okay, because I guess I duplicate and start on standard. But once you get that out, you actually have to have so many pieces to move forward. Unlike the domain deck that like builds up slowly over time, Dimir midrange, which honestly, very good matchup into Azorius Omniscience, one of the better ones, like matchups that have a better situation against Omniscience in general. Like those decks do build up an advantage over time. At least Dimir, like they have some level of not only disruption, but some level of lifelink as well. Azorius Omniscience having that instant win is just like a big asterisk. So with that in mind, we need to get rid of something in red. Now, a lot of people talk about Monstrous Rage. I think I'm on the side of things where I don't think Monstrous Rage needs to go. 1 red for an instant, target creature gets +2/+0, and then you create a monster roll token, so it gets +2/+0. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1, so essentially +3/+1, and has trample. So enchanted creature gets +3/+1 and trample, which is great because for the red players, you're able to get over top of blockers, which is very relevant again in the Azorius Omniscience decks. You're playing like the Philology Archaeologist, which can be a 0/3 or a 1/4. So just getting in over top of threats like that is very important. And Monstrous Rage just being able to be exiled off of one of the mice is like really relevant as well. But I don't think this is the card that needs to go. It needs to be the package itself. So more recently printed out of Tarkir Dragonstorm, Kori Steelcutter has been all over. It's had placements in Legacy. It's literally made Izzet Prowess return as a really relevant deck in the modern format. If you're looking at the modern format, I didn't even address it, but out of the top 10 decks, Izzet Prowess is there. It's because of Kori Steelcutter, because Kori Steelcutter gives you a mid-range plan, a consistent mid-range plan. If you don't have threats, Kori Steelcutter is a threat. If they destroy your threat, doesn't matter. Kori Steelcutter will make another one, right? If you cast 2 spells a turn, heck, the turn you cast Kori Steelcutter, if you just cast another turn, you will create a white monk creature token with prowess. With prowess, Monastery Mentor on crack, right? With prowess, and then when you attach it onto that monk. So that monk now is a 2/2, bare minimum, trample haste. Turn you cast this, you can swing in if you got a free spell, right? So on turn 2 anyway. Kori Steelcutter probably needs to go when it comes to standard. I can see the argument for it not, because when it comes to like the prowess deck specifically, you know, the way that Azorius Omniscience and the white decks are dealing with these decks is temporary lockdown. White, and 1 for an enchantment that says when it enters the battlefield, exile all creatures with converted mana, or all permanents with converted mana cost 2 or less. And so you're then able to grab the Kori Steelcutter, its tokens. When it leaves, the tokens don't come back. Kori Steelcutter comes back and all that stuff. So there are answers. The problem is those answers aren't fast enough. You need to be able to find that card. If you do not find that card as an Azorius Omniscience player, you're not getting there, right? You either need to combo onto turn 4, which honestly might be too late if you don't have a blocker out like a Philology, or you need to have that board wipe, and then your opponent can play around it as well. They can sandbag their stuff, right? And now with the Izzet Prowess decks, outside of like the large tournaments, they're playing Vivi Ornithir. Like there's like a legitimate combo deck walking around with Cauldron that's just going off with Vivi and just storming off and everything. So there are really powerful strategies that are coming out of some of the more recent sets that are printing. And that's great. It's just, I think a lot of these cards being printed did not plan for standard being 3 years. And some of these cards already, you know, were planned to be gone and all that stuff. So we do need a solution. When it comes to mono red specifically, yes, you see Monster Rage in here. And I brought up Kori Steel from Izzet Prowess. But for a while now in standard, you have like Heartfire Hero and the Emberheart Challenger and the Manifold Mouse. So essentially, if you look at it, they're all from the same set. It's the aggro mouse package that all work together. 4 Heartfire, 4 Emberheart, 4 Manifold Mouse. If you're playing red base aggro, that's 12 cards immediately into your deck alongside mountains and everything, right? 12 cards immediately into your deck because they all work together. The Heartfire Hero, whenever it becomes target of a spell or ability, such as like Monstrous Rage, put a 1/1 counter on it. When Heartfire Hero dies, it deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. So not only can you not use traditional removal against this, you have to exile it or bounce it or something, which is what, again, the Omniscience decks and the white-based strategies are able to do. But then you have Emberheart Challenger that comes in with haste and prowess and says, whenever it becomes the target of a spell or ability you control for the first time each turn, exile the top card of your library, which can be a Monstrous Rage, play it that turn. Manifold Mouse then just says 2 mana 1/2 at the beginning of combat in your turn. Target mouse you control gains your choice of double strike or trample. So you can then manifold on turn 1, you Heartfire Hero. Turn 2, you Emberheart Challenger, you attack him for 3. Turn 3, you Manifold Mouse, target the Emberheart Challenger. You trigger the Challenger, exile the top card of your library. It's Monstrous Rage. You cast the Monstrous Rage, giving this thing +3/+1. It has prowess. It is now a 6/3 with haste and trample. Then Manifold Mouse trigger resolves. You give it double strike. All of a sudden, you have a 6/3 double striking mouse alongside the Heartfire Hero, which also is attacking. It's an insane curve. It's an insane curve of damage, right? And it almost gets your opponent down to 1. And then the problem is the deck has so many 3s. It's got the Tursa, the Screaming Nemesis, that like the kind of temporary lockdown doesn't take it down. So really what I think out of this package, the Emberheart Challenger needs to go. 2 mana with haste. It just makes this deck like too fast. I think the mouse package needs to be broken up. Something needs to happen. I think there is room for Final Fantasy to shine. There are powerful cards. The Zur deck is the 5-color, 4-color domain deck gets the legendary that kind of returns enchantments at end step. Like there are cool things happening out of that deck. And then you see Vivi Ornithera, of course, busted magic card seeing play as well. Like there's room for innovation in standard. It's just not going to happen as long as red is at the top of the metagame. So something needs to go. And when it comes to the Pioneer metagame, as I mentioned, I'm still relatively new to this format, so I'm not going to comment too much on what's going on here. But really, let's be honest with ourselves. Within the last year, is it Phoenix, Rakdos, mid-range, mono red? 3 red decks at the top, all aggro, right? Go to 90 days. Oh my God. Mono black mid-range sneaks in there. 25% of the game, metagame, almost. It's just mono red. 30 days. Oh wow, 25% of the metagame is just mono red. 14. Oh, more than 25% of the metagame is mono red. 7 days. Oh my God, even more. Who plays this format? I'm sorry, like, I've had so many people tell me Pioneer's a great format. Stop playing Modern. I'm playing Pioneer. What are you talking about? What are we doing here? This format sucks doo-doo caca balls. What are we talking about here? Who is looking me in the face and telling me Modern is worse than this? This sucks. What did we just look at? And I'm getting in through a combo deck because I don't want to think. I just want to go fast. Who wants to play a format like this where nothing changes? It's been mono red for months. Who wants to play this format? Everyone has ignored this. Pioneer doesn't have an RCQ this season, this year at all. The format's dead. Wizards of the Coast does not care. Maybe next year the first RCQ season is Pioneer. Yay, Pioneer is saved. We need to do something now. This format sucks. I've only played 3 games and I can tell you this format sucks. Lord help me as I get into it. I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you about those Pioneer players. First of y'all ain't fetchline players. I don't know what to tell you. This format already sucks because it doesn't have fetch lands. I'm a fetch land elitist. Pauper doesn't have fetch lands. It doesn't matter. Pauper's got Dark Ritual and Lotus Petal. You can't top that. I'm sorry. You can't. Never, quote me on this right now. Never has Pioneer ever been better than Pauper. Never. That's never been a thing. You are absolutely wrong. Never will it ever be because Pauper's got Dark Ritual and Lotus Petal. It has good magic cards. Actually good magic cards. Not in this format. Arclight Phoenix. Okay. All right. Grow up. Anyway, Pauper metagame, I don't think much should change. We had a really successful kind of unbanning and banning out of last rotation. Yes, Burn is at the top kind of again. But if we go to the more recent ones, so right now, out of the past year, obviously we have aggro, we had a little bit of combo in there, now banned out of the format, blue terror fairies. So we see the success of blue-based strategies as well. And the kind of mid-range package that the Gruul strategies have gotten as well be successful. We go to the last 90 days, Burn is going to be at the top. But one thing I will say, 2 things that are successful right now. Not only are the blue decks up there, but a creature-based strategy can be the creature-based strategies are really good. Elves can be really fast, and Bogles is just really great against Burn if you get the right pieces. And successfully, High Tide is at the top of the metagame, but yes, a combo deck is at the top, but it's controlled pretty well by the control decks. right? And kept in check by the aggro decks as well. Yes, it's a combo deck, but sometimes the aggro decks can be faster and the control decks will have the ability to answer you. So it's cool that a combo deck can succeed, but be held back, rightfully so, by the pressures of interaction, which is exactly what you want out of the format. You want that healthy balance, especially if you go farther. 30 days, I think, is a great representation. Burn is at the top. Burn represents almost 25% of the metagame, split up between, honestly, two very different functioning decks. Madness Burn plays very differently from traditional Burn. There is some overlap, but when it just comes to mono red or something like that, Burn is just different. The way it kind of pings over time with Kessig, Flame Breather, and the Thermal Alchemist as well. Madness Burn looks to kind of work with explosive hands, discard over time, and play some of those sneaky snackers and stuff like that. What's cool is through all of that, Blue is still able to succeed. A highly successful kind of interactive strategy, tempo out of the mono blue fairies with ninjutsu, Blue Terror playing like these giant 6/5s and 5/5s while keeping you honest with counter spells and spell pierces. Jund Wildfire is a legitimate mid-range deck with a ton of removal, interaction, mid-game control type win conditions in their creatures. The fact that we have combo, tempo, affinity as well, burn, everything exists at the top of the Pauper metagame. Honestly, I may be thinking about this wrong, and maybe I'm looking at it through rose-colored glasses, but Pauper is actually in a relatively good spot right now, in my opinion. Maybe there's still some time to be seen about maybe something coming broken out of Final Fantasy. I don't think so just yet, but people are still innovating regardless. I think Pauper's in a really good spot. I don't think things need to change, and I'm happy to see where things are at right now. I personally am struggling because I like to play combo decks, and the combo decks that I like to play with Dark Ritual and Lotus Petal aren't doing that great in this metagame because, the majority of the metagame is like high interaction strategies, which is fine. Honestly, that's the way it should be. The interactive decks should be able to keep me honest, but I should also be able to keep them honest as well if I get the right pieces and able to combo off faster. But it's not like I'm winning on turn one consistently. Yes, one land spy can win on turn one. That happens maybe 2% of the time. It genuinely more likely wins like turn 3, turn 4. By that time, the control decks and the combo decks and the other combo decks and the mid-range decks and the burn decks probably have me near B. So again, Pauper is in a really good place, in my opinion. Let me know if you disagree. Last thing I want to mention, format I want to mention properly is Legacy. Now, this is a format I've gone into, but maybe not spent as much time in. I've consumed a lot of content for it. I played my fair bit of Oops. My personal deck of choice is Painter. No surprise, my name's That Mill Guy. There's a lot going on. So over the past year, Red Stompy, and I feel like this breakdown is a little disingenuous because of some things that got banned, but we do need to give light to Eldrazi as well out of last year. But really what we're looking at is the fact that Dimir Tempo Reanimator is up there, Oops All Spells, and Red Stompy. Red Stompy, a lot of it is two things. Red Stompy is up there because of the One Ring and also its ability to pressure out the other mid-range strategies, right? With Blood Moon effect. If you're a soft Blood Moon, you are uplifting Red Stompy. And so with the recent changes to Saga, Red Stompy now has some like soft mid-range aspects and go long, but that's not necessarily what you want to be doing in this metagame. The problem is Oops All Spells, a deck that can consistently win on turn one through Balustrade Spy into Thassa's Oracle. Eventually, Balustrade Spy mills you out through some combination, you're going to be able to get Thassa's Oracle. Through some combination, able to consistently win on turn one through protection, right? With protection, 0 mana counter spells, interaction, duress style effects, whatever it is. It's able to get through all of this and beat some of the hate that you'll see out of it, or you'll see out of your opponents. Oops All Spells has put such a big pressure on the metagame right now. The big thing holding up or back Oops All Spells is the blue decks. Don't get me wrong. Legacy has the tools to stop Oops All Spells. Oops All Spells is stopped by Force of Will Daze decks, okay? Because they have the hard control in them. Now, when it comes to beating Oops All Spells, the blue decks don't exist because initially the Eldrazi decks were really powerful. They were there with their Cephalid Colosseums, the Sowing Mycospawns. And Sowing Mycospawn was essentially a 4 mana uncounterable way to beat the blue decks. 4 mana, right? And then you add 2 more. What the Soling Mycospawn does then is exile your opponent's their basic land. They tutor for a wasteland, and then they destroy the non-basic. For 6 mana, uncounterably, you've taken your opponent's turn back by 2 turns, and you've created a 3/3 threat. And then you can do that again the next turn. And I say uncounterable because you can Cavern of Souls, name Eldrazi. So that deck kept the blue decks in check. Red Stompy kept the Eldrazi decks in check. But then Oops All Spells was just running around everywhere. It was just at the top. So we made, and then ultimately what happened was Dimir Reanimator. Dimir ended up coming up at the top of the metagame because Dimir is a blue-based strategy that can run the Force of Will package alongside Force of Negation and or Daze. Okay? Alongside that, they had an almost quote-unquote instant win condition of the Reanimator package. Initially, you were working with, just Entomb Reanimate. Entomb is a 1-mana card that tutors from your deck, puts a card into the graveyard, and then Reanimate brings it back. Easy. You get something big and dumb, put it in your graveyard, you get it back. And you can somehow find a way to win from there or overwhelming advantage to take over your opponent. We've made bans over time. Psychic Frog was an absolutely insane threat in the Grief era time. Psychic Frog was a card that pitched a Force of Will and pitched a Grief. We lost Grief. We then lost Psychic Frog, if I'm remembering my order correctly. And then we lost Troll of Khazad-dûm being an insane threat because you can turn 1 Troll of Khazad-dûm, keep crazy hands, find a swamp, put it in your graveyard. It acts as a soft Entomb, and then you reanimate it. Troll of Khazad-dûm, crazy threat. Actually good threat. In a world where white is not that relevant and Swords to Plowshares isn't that powerful, Troll of Khazad-dûm is a crazy threat, right? Even out of the Stifle Knot deck. Stifle Knot almost operated on the same level of Dimir Reanimator. It just had worse threat. Yes, it gets out the Phyrexian Dreadnought, but Phyrexian Dreadnought isn't even that crazy. It's not even like that crazy. This is just a good deck. It has an instant win. You stifle his Phyrexian Dreadnought trigger. That's why it's called Stifle Knot. And then you get it out. Great. Dimir Temple is just like, oh, I'll put Troll Khazad-dûm out, unblockable. Oh, I'll put Atraxa out, draw every single card I need to ever win this game. And so with that, the Dimir decks have been at the top consistently. If we look back into the last 30 days, Dimir Reanimator is still at the top of the metagame. Izzet Delver is there as well, but they're playing Corey Steelcutter and some nonsense in there as well. Oops All Spells, the Dimir deck. Look, Dimir itself is almost 25% of the metagame. They have been consistently trying to take down the Dimir deck over and over again because the play patterns it represents is absolutely insane. You can't stop just the graveyard package because like playing a Leyline of the Void against a deck trying to put 1 card into the graveyard and play a mid-range control package the rest of the time doesn't feel great. You are a card down against a Force of Will deck. You have less resources against a deck that can counter everything. What are you doing? Right? So it doesn't feel great. You then have Izzet Delver, which can be a little bit aggressive. Izzet Delver, classic of the Legacy format. Oops All Spells trying to keep every single goddamn deck honest. Red Stompy just being the mid-range deck of choice. You got Blood Moons, you got the One Ring, you have Chalice of the Void. What is there to be mad about? Chalice on 1, surprisingly, still powerful to this day in a world full of soul lands. Okay, with all that context in mind, what do we need gone? There's a whole swath of things happening in Legacy. It's been a crazy format for the last year. First of all, Balustrade Spy and the other card itself, the 3-mana one where you activate for 1, it's pretty much the same effect, right? Mill out your whole deck, reanimate Thassa's Oracle. We need to get these cards out of here. At this point, modal double face cards are here to stay, and the MDFCs printed in Modern Horizons 3 legitimately took Oops All Spells over the edge. Oops All Spells is too far gone. We cannot have the instant win, Balustrade Spy, whatever. It's gone too far, and they're not getting rid of MDFCs. We might see more in the future. Let Belcher be a thing. The problem with the Oops All Spells deck is that especially post board, they'll board into Belcher and you just don't know what to stop. You bring in all the graveyard hate and then they go ritual, fast mana, whatever, into Goblin Char Belcher and they win. Right? Or you try and stop the Belcher and then like they counter it and they just go blah, 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 Balustrade Spy, they win. Balustrade Spy and the General Oops package of the other, again, 3-mana 1, pay 1 to activate, those will probably need to go out of the Legacy metagame. It's too far gone. It's a combo deck that can win really consistently on turn 1 and relatively consistently with protection on top of that, in some level of soft interaction, just to be able to get there. Just watch my leagues on it. I'm a bumbling idiot when it comes to Legacy, and I was able to pull off 3 2s, 4 1s, whatever, really easily. And of course, then you have great Legacy pilots that are, again, going to be able to pull off 5-0s really consistently. If you wanted to farm leagues with this, now's the time. Play some Moopsal spells, get your treasure chest while you still can. The next part of the discussion is going to be Entomb, and this is an interesting one. So they talked about how Legacy, because it has the reserve list to it, it's largely a community-driven format. Wizards of the Coast Wizards of the Coast. I don't know why I keep saying Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast recognizes Legacy as an official format, but they do not support it at a Pro Tour high level RCQ type of thing because of the reserve list. Because you get into this whole problem of they don't have a solution for the reserve list. So Legacy largely is played online and in paper to some level, and it is largely community sentiment driven. A lot of Legacy players are in it for a while. They've left because of all the crazy mismanagement of it. And they've talked about how they don't want to get rid of format staples. Entomb is only legal in Legacy, Vintage, and Commander. Forget Oathbreaker for 2 seconds here. 3 formats. In Commander, it's not even that much of a problem. Whatever, right? You got 4 people to contend with. You animate something. Are you winning on the spot? No, whatever. Vintage, it's not even that fast. It's not even good enough. Honestly, you're just doing the things you're doing in Vintage. Entomb could never. Entomb's a good card in Vintage. Just you're doing crazy crap in Vintage. You go look at the Vintage Reddit. Go look at Decklist, and really, like, in a world of Moxes where you can just do more faster, it's just not enough. So Legacy is really the last home of this card Entomb, and it has been a format staple for a really long time. It has been a pillar, if you will, of the format. And they've said that they don't really want to be in the business of removing pillars of the format. But it might be time to really knock these quote unquote reanimator decks down. It might be time to get rid of Entomb. Reanimate's still in the game. If you can somehow get cards in your graveyard and reanimate, Rakdos Reanimator with, Faithless Looting and stuff like that. Okay. Thoughtseize yourself, all that crap, right? It might be time for Entomb to go. I think, just like the Hogak days when we got, we made a ban or 2 in Modern that just, we really should have banned Hogak. And then we eventually did down the line, cards dying for other card sins and all that type of stuff. I think it's time for Entomb to go. I think we've gone too far. We've done the whole shebang. We're good. Just drop it. Just drop it. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. That's going to be my little prediction gab about kind of what's going to happen on Monday. I'm going to spend the weekend playing a little bit of Standard, trying to get to Mythic. I'm right now in Diamond, and oh Lord, there's a lot of mono red. There's a lot of mono red in Diamond. So I'm going to spend the weekend doing that, playing nothing else, honestly. Nothing else really interests me. I'll actually be learning a bit more Pioneer. I'll spend some time doing that. But Modern Legacy, everything's changing. Pauper, honestly, I could play some Pauper too, but I'm trying to learn, I'm trying to get to Mythic and learn some Pioneer. So Pauper will take a second. I don't want to play Modern right now. Modern's in a crazy place, right? A lot of people argue it's not that bad. I'd argue, yeah, it is. It kind of is. Legacy's in a crazy spot too. I think it's a great time to get in because Legacy is just a difficult format that in these uncertain metagames where everything's so polarized, you just need to learn a few matchups and you know the majority of things. When things are wide open, it's hard to get into a format. So honestly, again, it's a great time to get into Legacy, but that window is now kind of closing at this point. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. How are you feeling about these ban predictions? What are the cards that you feel like I'm completely wrong on, and maybe some of my thoughts? What are the cards that you feel like that should be banned that I completely missed? Sound off in the comment section down below, and good luck next Monday to all of y'all.